everyone, how's it going? Um, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that to everybody who's celebrating right now. Um, had a good day yesterday. I'm very tired today because obviously the day was hectic, and then we stayed up late playing board games and stuff, and then the kids still got up really early this morning. So yeah, a little bit tired, but we'll rally. So I'm going to be doing some of these Q&A questions today. Um, Thank you for all the questions. I got more than I had anticipated, so that was really good to see. I wrote them down. I've got my notebook in front of me here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing because I can't remember all of these. Um, so yeah, I will just be kind of soft talking this video and rambling on, answering your guys' questions. So I hope you enjoy. Question one was, what do family and friends think of your channel? Basically saying, like, especially given that it's an ASMR channel. To be honest with you, only a couple of my friends know that I'm doing this, and obviously, like, my wife, and I've shown my kids. If you go back through my channel, especially to the beginning, obviously it was faceless, so I was a little bit more anonymous. And then I also made a few videos where I'm not in it really at all. It's just like my hands. There's a couple Magnetile videos, for example, where there are like a lot of clicking sounds and stuff. I made those in part for my kids because they like to just watch some marbles and stuff like that on their. They have an iPad, so sometimes when it's just kind of like calm down time, we'll put on something kind of mesmerizing. So I made a couple videos for them to watch. But yeah, in short, what do they think? I haven't really had any weird feedback or anything like that. Like, my wife likes it. She doesn't necessarily watch my videos, but she will give them a little bit of a listen and just kind of like skip through them and just, I guess, just kind of check out what I'm doing. And then, like I say, I have a couple friends that know and have kind of like looked at a video and been like, oh, neat, and then just not really haven't really talked about it. They ask, how's your channel doing, or how's things going? But other than that, no real conversations about it, to be honest. So yeah, pretty under the radar. I'll leave it at that. Number two, what is your favorite dish that your wife makes? I would have to think on that. The one that comes to mind is cottage pie. Now, in Canada, or at least in my circle, we've always called it shepherd's pie. But upon meeting my wife and her making it, she informed me that shepherd's pie is not using beef, as the name would entail, and they call it cottage pie with beef. So yeah, I'd never called it cottage pie previously, but if I had to pick one thing, that's probably what I'm going with. It is the safest pick of being delicious, I would say. Like, it's pretty much a guaranteed good meal. So yeah, that's where I would go with that. Favorite restaurant? I don't really have a favorite restaurant. I would say we have a pub down the road where you can get just like a good hamburger and fries. That's probably what I would say for that. We don't go out a ton. We order in pizza every Friday, or most Fridays, for like a pizza and movie night. But yeah, we don't really go out to restaurants that often with the kids, other than maybe like a brunch now and then or something like that. But yeah, I would say the pub food down the road, whenever we do get a chance, is probably the way I would go. So, number three, how long have you been watching ASMR? So, without knowing that it was called ASMR, or without the videos actually being labeled ASMR, sometime around 2007, I would say 2007, 2008 is when I first started watching. So yeah, quite a long time ago. And I think I mentioned in a couple previous videos, there was like a Whisper Crystal that made videos a long time ago, and then there was like Water Whispers, and then a few other names that I'm again drawing a blank on because it's been so long. I know in different videos I seem to remember a couple different names, other than Whisper Crystal is one that always stands out. and then a real favorite of mine a little bit later on, when it was actually known more as ASMR, was massage ASMR. Was Dimitri. I think he's Australian. He was one of the real staples that I watched pretty regularly, and the videos were actually titled like, you know, tapping ASMR and like whispering ASMR and things like that. I think that was probably 2010, 2011 time, I would have to say. I could be off a little bit there, but around then, that's the kind of the earliest clearly labeled, like, this is ASMR, this is what it is kind of thing. Not just like, oh, I enjoy watching these videos because they're relaxing, but yeah, when it actually had a label put onto it. Someone asked if I would ever start a Patreon or something like that. So this is a bit of a tough question. For starters, I never really expected my channel, not that it's massive now, but I never really expected to have as many followers as I do now, like as many subscribers, especially active ones who are commenting regularly or liking regularly and things like that. Like, the support has been more than I anticipated. So I did enable memberships on my channel, and with that I can make, you know, exclusive members only videos and stuff, but I'm a little bit torn on that, because one of the things that I like to do is make videos pretty much daily, like at least, you know, 4, 5, 6 days a week, if I can't do 7. And I don't necessarily want to step away from that. Like, if I start making members only videos regularly, then I would have to then start cutting back on the amount that I'm putting out just on my regular channel. And I don't know how I feel about that for right now. But like I say, this is all fairly new, so I haven't really had a lot of time to even think about it. And that could give me a good opportunity to ask the question back, is what would people like to see? Would it matter if I, say, made 1 or 2 videos that, you know, 1 or 2 less videos a week, and then made them a members only thing? Or is it better to just kind of keep going, making them all public all the time? Like I say, I haven't really thought too much about this. So it's something I'll have to think on more, and maybe ask for some feedback there on what some other channels do, or what you guys have maybe seen that works in that realm. For now, like, I'll take recommendations and like requested videos, and if somebody wants to be a member, obviously, like, they'll get priority in that stuff. And but yeah, like I said, I don't want to feel like I'm punishing the regular viewers who have subscribed to me for me providing, you know, like, oh, they like that I have daily videos, etc. I don't want to then start changing what got people here in the first place. So I hope that makes sense. I'm still a little bit torn on that subject. What are my favorite non-ASMR videos? So, outside of ASMR, I have 2 main interests, and that would be sports. So I'm really into all things like baseball, specifically NFL football, hockey. I'm not as into hockey now as I used to be as like a kid, but I still watch it. I enjoy like weightlifting videos and MMA videos. And then on the other side, I really enjoy like personal finance and like stock market news and things like that. So those are the 2 avenues that I go down. I put a few of the channels down just that I listen to regularly. So on the finance side, I listen to some guys called Rob Berger, John Kuhn, and Ben Felix. And like I say, it's a little bit nerdy stuff, like hearing a guy ramble on for an hour about how many bonds should be in your portfolio, or running like retirement simulations and stuff like that, and like stock market news and reactions to that kind of stuff. Like, it's not for everybody, for sure, I get that, but for me, I like having it on, especially just when I'm around the house. I'll either have like earbuds in, or just have a YouTube video playing while I'm, you know, loading and unloading the dishwasher, or whether I'm like cleaning my kids' playroom or something like that. Like, I'll just have something that I'm just kind of, I'd rather be listening to something than just having silence. And then on the sports side of things, I don't necessarily watch full episodes, but like the Pat McAfee show, I watch clips of that sometimes, especially I'm a Colts fan and he was an ex-Colts player. So specifically when he's talking about like the Colts as a team, I definitely click on those links. I don't really, they've definitely branched out a lot as they've become bigger, so I don't really watch it as much anymore. I was more into it when it was more Indianapolis based. Chael Sonnen for MMA news, and he's just a good entertainer, and that's kind of a common theme with these guys. Is it's not just about the content. It's more like the entertainment value and just hearing like interesting people speak, I guess. And then on the baseball side of things, I listen to a lot of baseball podcasts. The Walk Off podcast for the Blue Jays fans is probably my favorite because they make a couple like 1 hour episodes per week. So I tend to just throw those on in the background as well and just kind of have a listen along while I'm doing my daily tasks. So yeah, those are some of the avenues that I go down, that I listen to when I'm just trying to like fill space or kill time. I got asked about my gym routine. So my gym routine right now is a little bit all over the place, and I'll actually touch on that a little bit more with one of the later questions. When I was younger, like in my teen years and that, I did a lot of sports. Like I was constantly playing travel, baseball, basketball. I was on the volleyball team, all that stuff. So all my training was more to do with like running and jump training and stuff like that. And I never really got into the weights. And then once I graduated and I went more focused on schooling, then I got into powerlifting for a while, and probably like, well, all of my 20s basically. And then it wasn't until my late 20s when I was like getting the odd lingering issue, like some back pain, or like my knees were a little bit sore and stuff like that, and I was trying to go out and play slow pitch and stuff, and I was actually feeling kind of just the wear and tear on my body, that I was like, okay, I'm moving more. I'm in my 30s now, and I have two small kids that I'm always like bending over and picking up and stuff. So I want to keep myself in shape for them, and I want to be able to obviously like wrestle and carry them and stuff like that. But I've moved. I have a home gym, as I mentioned. I've got rubber flooring and some bumper plates. So I do a lot of like the similar things that I used to do. I do a lot of like deadlifts, squats, bench press. I keep it fairly simple. And then like pull-ups and push-ups, but I don't necessarily do any more like 1 rep maxes, and I'm not like obsessive about it. I used to have the spreadsheets and the programs that I was doing, and now it's more of a maintenance, and just want to feel good and feel athletic and things like that. Like the goalposts have shifted a little bit, but I still enjoy doing it. So yeah, that's where I am now with the gym routine. What got me into doing ASMR videos? Okay, so this one was, as I mentioned in a previous video, the very first time I ever thought about it was when I was reading for a group project, and a girl had mentioned that I had like a relaxing voice, I guess, in short. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then as I started myself, like hearing about or watching more of these videos along these lines, it had kind of crept up. I was like, oh yeah, like I kind of thought back to that, where I was like, somebody told me I had a relaxing voice one time. And I was kind of always thinking, maybe I should try that someday. But then obviously you get into like, get into working or university or whatever you're doing, you're busy, and it's just kind of, probably not an excuse for everybody, but for me it was. So I just kind of, procrastinated, I guess, or I never got around to it because I was busy, as kind of lame of an excuse as that is. Then once I finally got into doing the videos, obviously lines up with this September when I quit working full time. Now I only have just some like part-time casual hours, and I'm at home with my kids most of the time. So that was when I was like, you know what, I need something to do. I want a little hobby on the side. I got a little bit of equipment set up, and I didn't really know what type of YouTube videos I wanted to make. I had a few different ideas, and the first one that came to me was I had never even uploaded a video before. I didn't know anything about using YouTube or really video making at all. So I just said, hey, I'm going to sit down, record myself, and upload something. And the only thing that came to mind was, well, I watch ASMR videos, so why don't, and you know, it's easy enough to do. Why don't I just sit down and start filming myself like talking or making some sounds or something like that, and then try and upload it? I can do it in, you know, one take. It doesn't take a lot of editing or anything like that. So that's what I did. And then I was super nervous because I am quite like introverted, I would say, in most cases. And so putting myself out there was like a big deal for me. So once I pressed the upload button, I got really, really nervous, and then the nerves settled, and then I was like, okay, it's done. Like, wasn't that bad. A couple people watched the video. I think I might have got like 1 or 2 comments. Then I made another one, and then I made another one, and I think I made probably like a week straight at that point. And by that point, I was having fun with it, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is a breeze. Like, I enjoy doing it. It's not work for me at all. Like, it's something that I'm having fun doing. So that was when I was, I guess, more serious about running a channel properly at that point, or whatever properly means. You know, I wanted to do this consistently and stick with it at that point. Once I had that, you know, 5 to 7 videos up, and then a few weeks or whatever it was later, was when I was like, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this, it's annoying trying to keep my face out of all the videos and worry about the camera angle and how much I move around and where I position myself. So if I just put my face in the videos, then I don't have to worry about that anymore. If my face goes out of the screen, it's not a big deal. If it comes back into the screen, it's not a big deal. So yeah, that was kind of the progression there. And then now here we are a few months later, and I'm making pretty much daily videos with my face in them. What do or did I do for work? So I don't know if people will know what this is outside of maybe like Canada or select people in the States. Maybe, I guess, in Scotland and stuff like that, it's pretty common too. But I'm a power engineer. So if you've never heard of that, picture what Homer Simpson does in The Simpsons. That was essentially what I did. The only difference being he's at a nuclear plant and I was at an oil site. So, I say oil site, it wasn't exclusively an oil site. If you've ever heard of what cogeneration is, we basically burn gas to run a turbine. A turbine spins a generator that generates a lot of electricity. The electricity runs the plant and also feeds the grid to power the province that I live in. So with that exhaust heat from that process, you then run a boiler with, so you have water flowing through tubes, and the exhaust from the turbine heats that water, makes it into steam. You put the steam into the ground, and then you have a pump that pumps the now condensate and oil back to the surface. So you're not seeing any of this. It's all done, you know, within piping. And then you separate the oil and the water out. You reuse the water back to the boiler to repeat the process. You separate the oil out, the oil goes into the pipeline, you sell the oil. So yeah, it's a lot of, how do I put that? It's a lot of work. It's a stressful job in a lot of cases. As I've mentioned, I worked pretty much every Christmas because, for those of you that don't know, the site's never shut down. You're going 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it doesn't really matter if it's your kid's birthday or if it's Christmas or, you know, anything like that. It's like you're at work. So that was a big part of why I quit it. I don't know if I am fully quit, like retired from that occupation or not. I might go back, but it got to a point with having the 2 small kids where the reward wasn't worth what I was giving up in my mind at that point. So yeah, I was gone for 14 hours a day, like an hour drive each way to work, plus a 12-hour shift, plus I was working night shifts, so I would do like 14 night shifts at, you know, 14 hours a pop. By the end of that, you can imagine you're not in the best mood, you are sleep deprived, you're a zombie. So that was why I got out of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the occupation. I really enjoyed the challenge of my job, but lining up with family life didn't really work for me anymore at this point. So yeah, that's what I did. If you have any more questions on that, or if you're familiar at all with that industry or that line of work, feel free to ask anything more, or let me know if you've done something similar, because I'd be interested to hear that. Favorite movies and TV shows. So this is a bit like my YouTube watching, where I kind of go down, two very different paths. So I like things where I don't necessarily need to be that locked in all the time. So that would be a lot of your typical comedies, like your Anchormans, The Hangover, stuff like that, where it's just light and easy and humorous. I like a lot of that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, I like the odd, I guess they're called like thrillers in a way, or dramas, but I have to be in the right mood for them. So one that stands out to me is The Prestige. I like some of the ones where you think you know what's going on, and then there's a WTF moment in it where you're like, wow, I did not see that coming, or I'm completely caught off guard. I like being surprised by the plot of a movie. I don't necessarily like to be able to see what's coming all the time. There's another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, now that I'm talking that way, where he was on, I want to say, was it Shutter Island? I don't think that's right. I think that's a different one. But there was a Leonardo DiCaprio one where I think he was like an investigator on an island. And that just saying that out loud reminded me of that movie. But that one was good, whatever that was called. Then also like the Harry Potter movies, because my wife is a big fan and the kids watch them. And they're just like kind of easy viewing as well. And there's a lot of them. So you never really run out of material. And by the time you get back to watching them again, it's been long enough that you kind of forget, and they're enjoyable again. So yeah, that's where I'd go for movies. And then on the TV show side, normally I just watch sports. I'll watch, baseball games, basketball games, hockey games, football games, everything like that. And then the odd time I'll throw on The Office or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or maybe Archer here and there, something like that. Just again, something light, because I'm not necessarily sat down paying attention. I did watch the Game of Thrones. I did watch Marco Polo. So those were like a little bit more, you had to sit down, pay attention, and otherwise, everybody that you were watching would be gone from the show and you'd have no idea what happened. But yeah, for the most part, it's stuff that I can just have on in the background as noise. Like I say, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, stuff like that. What music do you listen to? So, for the most part, what would be classified as country. So a lot of like Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Lecade, Lecade. I don't actually know how you say that artist's name, but they're very good. Lee Brice, I like a lot of just, not a lot of like beats and like house style music. I just enjoy better, like, or I shouldn't say better, but good singing. And so that's where I typically go. I have a bit of a different gym playlist where I have some rock music and some rap music and stuff like that. With all my playlists, though, I try to keep them relatively small, and then as I add some new songs to them, I kind of get rid of the ones that I'm tired of, so it's a revolving door. So over time, maybe a couple of years ago, I had a lot of Morgan Wallen in my one in my one playlist. And then as the year goes on, all of a sudden there's one song left, and then there's zero, and now I've got a lot of Zach Bryan, and then, like I say, Tyler Childers shows up, and then I'll move on from that. But it's in that general genre most of the time. Oh, and I should say, I used to really like Ed Sheeran. I don't really listen to him anymore, but yeah, that was a guy that I listened to like a decent amount as well. Like I probably have, 4 or 5 of his songs in any given. My playlists are usually 50 plus songs to 100. They usually don't go over 100. So he would have normally been in there to some extent as well. New Year's resolution. The one that I have is kind of a broad one, but it's to be more intentional. So what I mean by that is to do things more thoughtfully and focused. When I have time with my kids, I want to make sure that I'm there with them and participating and making it count. When I'm doing my workouts, I want to be focused on what I'm working out that day, what my goal is for that workout, that I'm doing my proper, like warm ups and mobility, and I have like a purpose to why and what I'm doing. And then I've been learning Spanish again on the side. So even then, I want to. Anybody can sit down with like their Duolingo and just click on the right buttons, and you kind of memorize things, and you tell yourself, for instance, you're learning Spanish and you're really not learning Spanish. You're just memorizing a few words and you're kind of getting good at a game. But yeah, I've decided to be more intentional with that too. Like when I am focusing on my Spanish, I sit down, I want to think about what I'm doing. I want to pause and try to say it out loud in my head without looking at the screen, make sure I'm retaining things. So yeah, I think that's been a big one is just being intentional in general and maintaining focus on what I'm doing and not doing things, half effort. Have I been to the United States? Yes, I have. So I've been there probably 10 times. I've been to Hawaii when I was a kid for one family vacation. We went to Maui with my mom. And then I've been down to California a couple times. I grew up in British Columbia, so on the West Coast. And we went down to California, like through Washington, in the car once or twice. And then I've flown down there a couple times. I went to Disneyland once. I know I've been to Sacramento. I don't remember what I was there for, but I do remember seeing the stadium where the Kings were playing. And I remember for some reason I had like a little notebook like this when I was a kid, and I was obsessed with sports teams. So I made like a list. I was so excited to see a stadium that I made a list of all of the teams. And then I remember, like, I still remember to this day, I was maybe 8 years old or something like that. And I made a list of all the NBA teams, and I put a check mark beside the Sacramento Kings as though I was going to keep that piece of paper and go to all of the stadiums or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I did. So yeah, I know I've been to Sacramento. I've been to New York. Where else have I been? I think that's about it. I've been to Las Vegas, California, so Nevada, California, Washington. I have been to Montana. I was working at the border of Alberta and Montana when I was fresh out of high school, and I did go over the border there a few times. And then New York, I think that's about it. So I've probably been to around 5 or 6 states. Yeah, I guess I would be curious, how many of you have been to Canada? If you haven't noticed, I'm from Canada. So yeah, if you've been to Canada, let me know where you've been to, because I'd be curious to know that. And then the last question I've got here is, what are my favorite ASMR channels? This is a little bit like my playlists. It's very fluid. I go through phases with this, and my top one right now is probably Bungalow ASMR, where she just does simple massage video role plays. That's for, like, if I'm trying to sleep, that is the type of thing I will oftentimes put on, because it's just a warm atmosphere. It's a steady state, so I really enjoy that style of video when I'm trying to sleep. Leela Rose, I think that's how you say her name, Leela Rose ASMR. She's another one that's along those lines. I'll listen to her as well pretty regularly. And then Massage ASMR, as I mentioned earlier, was one of my favorites, although he doesn't necessarily make content anymore, so I can't say that I watch that often anymore. Just more of a change of pace, really. And then on the entertainment side of things, I enjoy Whispersoft and their channel. He makes a lot of kind of I don't want to call him goofy, because he does a really good job, but it's like massaging a tree, massaging a rock. What else does he do? Like a face massage on himself or something like that, like where he has the camera going back and forth to his own face and stuff. Like, he does just kind of some goofy ones. So I wouldn't necessarily watch that to sleep. It's more of an entertainment at that point. And I find what's his name? I never wrote his name down, but Zeitgeist. I think that's his name, Zeitgeist ASMR. He's a very huge channel, but it's the same kind of thing. I watch it the odd time for more entertainment than I do relaxation, because there's a lot going on. And I don't want this to sound bad, because I'm not trying to put down a channel at all, because they're very, very good at what they do. Like, the video editing and the sound and the camera quality is like amazing. But that kind of stuff doesn't do it for me for like a sleep relaxation style thing. It's more of like I just find it entertaining. So all the camera cuts, all of like the super vivid sounds, a lot of production value goes into it. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily listen to those for, as I mentioned, like when I'm sleeping, because when I'm trying to sleep, I will just throw something on, turn the screen away from me, and just listen. For those ones, it's more I'm just having a bit of quiet time. I'm looking for something to do, and I'll just be like, hey, I want to check out this, and then I'll watch it for 10 or 15 minutes, and maybe even get a couple of ideas for my own videos. And just be entertained by it more so, and in a relaxing way. Like it is still relaxing. So yeah, that's kind of, those are, what did I put down there, like maybe 5 or 6 channels. Those are probably the main staples. And then there's Patrick's ASMR, I think that's what it's called. I just recently found him, maybe a couple months ago, 3 months ago. So he's one I don't listen to, daily or anything like that, but I do pop in from time to time, and he has some pretty funny thumbnails and things like that a lot of the time too, where he's, it looks like he's in a cave or under a highway or something like that, or just out in the trees with another guy, and they're doing something silly or something like that. So like, there's some where I go for entertainment value, and yeah, there's so many different types and so many good content creators in this space that it would be hard to put down even the ones that I like, all of the ones that I regularly swing by their channel, or on and off swing by their channels, you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be another one. If you have any really good channels that I should be listening to, please let me know. There was one guy, Brooklyn Jake, had recommended KB Kid, and that was a channel I watched a long time ago. And I finally went back to his channel because I had completely forgot about him. I think I was subscribed to him with I had an old Google account, or like an old YouTube account, and I believe I was subscribed to him back in maybe 2015, 16, something like that, like quite a long time ago. And whenever I got a new phone or whatever happened there, when I moved on to a new channel, I started from scratch, and for whatever reason, I guess the algorithm just never recommended him to me, because I completely forgot about him and didn't see any of his videos until a couple of months ago. So that was a really good shout out there, because I do actually quite enjoy his videos as well. So yeah, if you have any good recommendations like that, I'm definitely I'm all ears for it, because I don't have that broad of a net. So anyways, with that being said, that'll wrap up the Q&A for now. If you have any follow-up questions, please let me know, and yeah, I'll see you guys again soon.